Ready, hot!
Thank you, Michael. Welcome, everyone. It's been a few weeks since we've been able to get in front of you and even address the last game against TCU. Again, just proud of our players to have to finish out the season the way we did, going on the road at TCU and to come away, with another victory to have part of our eighth Big 12 championship is really, again, special. It's difficult to do, obviously, when you look at the rest of the conference and what everyone's been doing. It's very tough and challenging. I think 9 teams are in bowl games. It's tough, but again, very proud of our players to have fought through the way they have and have put ourselves in this position to play Texas A&M in the Cotton Bowl. Another excellent football team, 10-2, ranked 8th or 9th in the country, I think. A team that's won 5 or 6 straight games here, down the stretch. And, and it begins, no question, with their offense and Johnny Manziel, the Heisman Trophy winner. Kevin Sumlin, Coach Sumlin and his staff have done a great job, transitioning from the Big 12 into the SEC and playing the way they have. Offensively, they lead the SEC in every single category, and third in the nation in total offense, third in the nation in scoring offense. So they have really, played well that way. Defensively, they do a lot of really good things. They jump in and out of a 50 front and an even front. DeMontre Moore, excellent player up front, really is disruptive. But really a solid football team. Offensively, they spread the ball out, but are very good rushing the football, good throwing the football. They stretch you like teams, much like many Big 12 teams that we've seen here this year. So it'll be a big challenge, but again, exciting one. I think it's really positive. The proximity, both schools, fans, I believe the game sold out in one day. It tells you the interest in the game, the fan interest. Again, both teams that are used to playing each other. We've played each other, every year here up until this year. So it'll be a big challenge, but an exciting one all the same. The Cotton Bowl people are first class. We played in it several years ago, and I thought they did things really in a great way, a first-class manner, and really a special bowl game. So it'll be exciting, and we're looking forward to it.
Bob, where does this Big 12 championship rank for you guys in terms of resiliency? To lose that first conference game and then rattle off 8 wins in a row?
Yeah, I don't know how to rank things that way, but it's, the players did show a lot of fight and grit and resiliency to fight through the whole season the way they did and to keep winning the way they did.
Bob, is Jalen Saunders going to play?
That those matters are always handled internally, and once that's determined, I'll say so.
The off week, the off couple weeks, pretty good for you. I mean, you played 9 straight games, 9 straight weeks.
Yeah, more than anything, the players had the last week of school and then finals, so we gave them the entire time off, other than to check in with Coach Schmidt, get a couple 3 lifts a week, and those are roughly 45 minutes. It doesn't take a long period of time just to keep up their training. But it was good for them to get off the field. We needed to go recruit. In the end, we lose a week of recruiting playing that late, and so that was tough to overcome. And I think it's something scheduling-wise in the future we have to really pay attention to. You really lose an entire week out on the road recruiting, it's tough. So we needed to do that as well. But, the exciting part was we got back Friday, after finals. We had our banquet. That went really well. And then Saturday, you could tell the guys wanted to practice, to get out and do what they do. And they had energy, and we went for about an hour and a half Saturday and Sunday, just going against each other. Got a lot of young guys, a lot of work. But you could tell they were anxious and excited to be back on the field.
Well, does this feel like you're about to play a bowl game against an SEC team, or does it feel like you're just playing Texas A&M,
Well,
like in years past?
Well, again, you can say, well, how long does it take for them to be an SEC team and not a Big 12 team? I don't get into those. It does. It feels like playing another excellent football team. So whether they're in the Big 12 or the SEC, if they were in the Big 12, we will have already have played. So it just doesn't work that way. But and it's interesting to me. All that debate, all that coffee talk, is that SEC defenses and Big 12 offenses, they seem to have done pretty well offensively in that league. I think they lead it in every single category, and it hasn't hurt their winning. They've won a bunch of games there too, so they're doing pretty good against all those defenses.
Has it hit you yet that this can be Landry Jones' last game for you?
I'm not. I don't get sentimental about any one guy. I'm that way, whether it was Adrian, whether it's Sam, whether it's. You know what I mean? Landry's special. We all love him for sure. He's been a great competitor. The way he fought down the stretch and the way he played. You look at West Virginia and Oklahoma State, just incredible. So, but I just, it's time. You know what I mean? Every guy has his time in college, and it's time for them to move on, and he'll do well at the next level.
For the first time in a while, you're going to have a true quarterback battle in the spring. How are some of those other guys coming along, and are you excited about that position? Yeah,
I've really noticed, because they've got a lot more snaps here the last 3 days, and they're doing well. I'm excited about the way they're all progressing. Blake and Drew throw the ball really well. Blake throws a great long ball. I know we haven't seen it as much, but he's got an excellent arm to go with all the other stuff. And then the other young guys are coming. I mean, Kendall's done some good things the last few days. Trevor Knight has been exceptional on our scout team all year and is doing well. But you know how it is. They got to get in there now and when it really matters and perform. So we'll see, but there's potential there.
Would you like to name a starter in the spring, or would you like to
Here we go
continue
already?
on?
Already?
We haven't talked to you in a while. So.
I don't care when we name them. You guys know that. We've had this for a lot of years, and we're never very. We never feel hurried to do it. We like them to compete.
It seems like Josh has always said this year when asked, he wants a quarterback that can throw the ball first, foremost. But do you expect to tweak the offense a little bit with some of these guys you've got that have seemingly a little bit more running ability?
Who are we playing in the first game? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't. Maybe. To some degree. I think it's fair to say with the fact that we've run Blake as much as we have, that there'll be a little bit more of some of the things you see from some other people.
So he's your starter. Like that.
All of them can run. That's the other part of it.
Since we're in the Peterson room, I hope you don't mind asking a question.
Adrian Peterson team meeting room?
Well, but when Switzer saw Sims the first time, he said, "You'll win a Heisman." When you saw Adrian the first time, did you envision this type of success?
Sure. I'm not. That's not. When you watched him play, he was just different than everybody. I mean, it wasn't close. And then, then he gets here, and you could tell the buzz of the players. Meaning, I'm not watching workouts, but, I'm walking through the halls, and the kids are coach. I mean, this guy doesn't. He never, what conditioning drill we ever did, he was always first. And it didn't matter. It didn't matter the situation. He was first. I remember Alan Patrick was pretty competitive, and he'd be creeping up on him, and he'd see him, and he'd hit another gear, and he wasn't going to let anybody beat him, So he's just different, and everybody's knows that, sees it again. This isn't the first time people are seeing it. He's just, to go with the amazing physical ability, he's so competitive and tough mentally. That's what separates him,
To do what he's doing so soon after a knee injury, though,
Pretty
I don't think
amazing.
anybody expected that.
But if anybody could do it, it'd be him. He's not like everybody, and we said that even when he was here. He'd say, "I don't heal like everybody. I'm different." He'll tell you that.
Does he get a chance to be the best running back of all time?
I would guess, I would believe so. I don't know why he wouldn't be. He's still fairly young and got a bunch of carries left in him.
Who does he have to eclipse to be that person in your mind?
Oh, geez, I don't know. I mean, the guys that just pop up to me are guys like Emmett Smith and Walter Payton, and I'm sure you guys all know who they are. You know, Jim Brown. I didn't see him as much, but Barry Sanders, of course. Yeah, it goes on and on. You know.
What about A&M's defense? Can you get into more of the way that they like to play?
Yeah, they'll jump in and out of an even front and 50. They seem to like the 50 a lot, you know, and then a lot of different blitzing off of it. Your standard coverages and zone coverages, and then they'll mix in some blitz zone, you know, 3 under 3 deep stuff with the blitz, and sneak in some man here and there. But you know, you see a lot of that basically from everybody anymore, and then it's just handling their pressures, you know, making sure we can pick those up. We'll work hard on it. We've been pretty good at protecting. You know, that'll be a big factor in this game.
Bob, this is the site of Landry's first game. His last game will be where he started when he subbed in for Sam against BYU. What do you remember about Landry's either performance or attitude that night?
I remember really when we got in at halftime, and that was going to be the circumstance. Anyone who's been in the locker room, you can't fool anybody in the locker room. You can't fool players. You can't fool coaches. He was genuinely excited to play and looking forward to it. And that's what you love. You know, that's what it. You always have a chance when that guy has that genuine excitement and feeling that he's ready for this, or wants it. You know, and whether he's ready or not, here it comes. You know, and he was as ready as he could be as a young guy, and he was you know, truly, you know, excited about going in and playing.
Johnny Manziel was the Heisman as a freshman. Are you shocked that it wasn't Adrian Peterson to be the first freshman that won it?
Well, you know, Adrian as a freshman, I don't believe he didn't win it because he was a freshman. I think because Jason White got a good number of his votes, being that Jason came in third. Had Jason not been a part of it, maybe he would have got whoever knows how many he needed to be the guy. So I never felt that Adrian didn't win it because he was a freshman. I felt, unfortunately, or fortunately for us, we had another guy that was right there in the race, and I think somehow that can make it tougher to win.
How do you deal with, and of course nobody's done this because he won the Heisman, but Manziel, how do you deal with him? Because it seems like when things break down, that's going to be when he's most dangerous.
Yeah, sometimes the worst thing you could do is cover everybody. You know, he's that way. He can scramble, you know, and he has a great knack for, even on his blind side, to feel people getting close and spin a couple of times and work his way out. So you know, that's something you have to really work hard at to contain them, to keep them in. But also, you don't want to be tentative and not rush. So there's a fine line there that we'll work hard at trying to get pressure and keep them in to have a chance to get them.
Where's the difference between defending him and, say, a guy like Colin Klein, who also was a Heisman finalist?
Yeah, Colin Klein and their offense is totally different. I mean, there's not a lot of similarities there. And their running style is much different.
Kind of unique that you faced 1, 2, 3 of the Heisman ballot.
Yeah, I thought about that, believe me. Yeah, excellent players, and all of them, and you know, they're always a challenge.
You have a feel yet for whether Darrell Williams will be available for the...
Not yet. That won't be determined until we get to the bowl site.
This December, there's been, and there always is every December, but it seems like there's more this year, a lot of coaches moving around, taking other jobs, whether it's head coaches, coordinators, or even assistants. A lot of openings, obviously. Is that something maybe that the AFCA can step in? Because there's teams going through bowl games preparations right now with like 5 assistant coaches. They have to recruit, they have to prepare their team. Can the AFCA kind of step in, you think? Or
I don't see how they could. You know, in the end, I don't see how they could. The recruiting, unless you maybe, you know, you'd have to change the only thing you could probably change is the entire recruiting calendar. But this time of year is probably, and I've said it for a lot of years, is the most difficult because of your recruiting, coaching changes, talking to juniors about whether they should leave or not, so many different things are happening, and bowl games. So it's tough, you know, but it is for everybody. Or if you're in that situation that you're having some turnover, it's tough to manage.
Have you talked with Kenny and Jefferson and those guys?
We will.
About Austin Wood's season and just everything he's dealt with and how it's affected the team?
Yeah, Austin's been an incredible inspiration. It's just remarkable what he was able to do all through two-a-days, all through the season. He's missed a day or two when he's out getting chemo, and then he's back the next day. It's just he's just such a tough, inspirational guy. Players love him. I don't know that he missed 2 workouts all summer. What 300-pounder wouldn't want to miss one of those days where you're working out for 2 hours and running? But he never ever, missed anything. He just, he fought through it and he's helped us a bunch. So it's we all had a big standing ovation because his cancer is in remission. So we were all glad to announce that to the team, and so hopefully it'll continue on a positive path that way.
Bob Kingsbury took another job. You've gone through that a couple times. Coordinator took a head coaching job before the bowl game. What kind of a dilemma is that for you to try to put together the coaching staff without one of the guys that's been so instrumental all year?
Yeah, it's first. I think you count on the guys that have been in the meeting room with them for every day for years to continue with the same process. And they know the process of how they go through their week, how they prepare, how they develop their plays. They're not going to change plays. So it's just a different guy putting it together, or a group of guys putting it together. In the end, when we've had that happen, I've never felt, for the most part, that guy can be totally invested. So, I remember Kevin Wilson participated, but he wasn't calling the plays and putting it together. Now he was just coaching a position, just to help and suggest, or but not to have the ultimate responsibility for it. Anyway, that's how we've done it. But I'm sure Kevin too has a bunch of other smart, good guys that are in the room with him that that he'll move forward with. And generally, it's that way when you've done really well.
I think Kevin Sumlin stayed for your bowl game after he took the Houston.
Yeah.
If I remember right. Is that when a guy does that? Is it because they just feel a sense of
timing, I
finishing
think,
with the team
yeah,
they've been with and all
finishing
that?
with it, saying goodbye, and you know why the bowls too allow you a decent break from recruiting. You're not allowed to be on the road anyway. You're only allowed 1 phone call a week to a prospect. So there's time there. Is my point, to get with your family, to finish out with who you're with. So we, usually you can work it out that way, and it's a positive thing, because anytime a guy's getting a head coaching job, it's a good thing. And players, like I said, I remember when we first got here, Leach got the job after 8 months, and all the guys didn't know how to feel about it. And they were so used to losing coaches because they lost, they thought it was a bad thing. I said, no, this is a good thing. We did so well, they want to hire one of our guys, get used to that. So.
When guys are just interviewing for jobs, they're flying around, or they're supposed to be out recruiting, you'd rather have them in game.
That's not a big deal. When they go interview somewhere, it may take, they're gone and back the same day. You can't have everybody on the road every day anyway. Those never take long, so that's not a big deal. We're all professionals. You can go do that, get back, and still do what you need to do.
For them to come to you and say, hey, I know you want me out recruiting on this quarterback or whatever, but I've got an opportunity. And
are you kidding me? Heck no. Go. That's fine. I'll go do it, or someone will get them, or change it to the next day. It's easy. It's easy to manage.
How are these games different when you're going up against one of your former assistants, and how much do you expect it to be different than it's being a bowl game this time?
It's really not different. I mean, Kevin and I are great friends. Our wives are great friends. We spent time in New York just a week or two ago. But in the end, once you get to playing, you're playing, and bowl games are a positive thing. So you're in that situation. You're both in good shape. So it's just something you got to go do, and so it's really not all that different.
What did you see in Sumlin when you hired him back in 03 or 02, whatever it was?
Kevin's, all the positive things you see from Kevin. He's bright. He's got a, excellent offensive mind. He's a great worker. He relates with kids well. He's competitive. Yeah, all those things. Kevin has all the great qualities you need.
He mentioned you in his opening press conference when he was hired. Did you have conversations with him when all the realignment stuff was going on about, your thoughts on the SEC, and what do you think about what that's done to their program moving in that conference?
I didn't have that many thoughts about, what their move would be. In the end, I knew he's going to an excellent program and he'd do an excellent job. So I was just excited for him for the opportunity, and they've transitioned in a very positive way. Pretty obvious, the situation they're in, and how they competed through the year.
You mentioned it a little bit earlier about the offense having success in that conference as well, but is there a part of you that wishes that this conference would get, the Big 12 would get a little bit more recognition in terms of how difficult it is? Because it seems like the focus is always on the.
Well, now they're an SEC team, so they don't count them as part of us, right? But you see, their style of offense is exactly what you see here with 5-6 teams, and it's tough. And again, it's pretty obvious they did pretty well moving the football, and and all the success they had winning. And you look at all of them offensively, there isn't anybody close to them.
So does that make defenses in the Big 12 and yours look, I guess,
I think it's a little of both. The offenses are, I think, tougher to deal with overall in our league, and defensively, sometimes we need to play better. I don't disagree with that, but again, they're having a hard time over in the SEC dealing with their offense too. And you can say, well, they didn't win the championship. Well, they beat the team that did in the last game of the year. So, quite obviously, they're tough to handle.
I know it's obviously been a while since you've been coaching there, but is the talent level on defense, it's just a little bit better in the SEC probably overall? Oh,
I think for sure. I think overall, yeah, that's fair to say. And, in particular, I think in particular up front, is the biggest, area. But, we'll all keep trying to improve our defenses too.
Given what the offensive line had to go through this year, Bob, how important has Gabe been for you guys?
Yeah, I'm proud of the whole offensive line, just attitude, the whole thing. Gabe Eichert, the leader up there, captain, and really the leader of that group. Just to fight through the injuries like they did. We're in the TCU game, and moving Gabe out to guard, and so it's they just kept hanging in there, and one guy'd get hurt and another guy was again healthy enough to come back a little bit and play. So it was a challenge, but they did a great job just fighting through it.
When Ben decided to stop playing, did you know immediately that with Gabe in his spot there wouldn't be anything missed there, or was there any?
No, I knew that would be fine in that position, but it just makes you thinner at guard then, and you still, I don't want Ben was an excellent football player, so, but so you do miss him, but I knew Gabe would play well there.
Bob, does the time off and the giving you the time to heal up front, does that make you markedly better going into this game with the offensive line?
I think it's going to help. It's going to help everyone. Damian Williams has been limping around the last 3 games of the year, and he had no limp the last couple of days. So it's been fun to, he's healing, and most of the other guys, aren't limping as much and feeling better. So it's got to help us some. I believe it will.
Sticking with the line, Lane Johnson's had an interesting path, and I guess has the chance to make that path get more interesting at the next level. Just all of his time here, what he's been to you guys, what he's been through.
Yeah, he's been a great young man. Very responsible. He's worked really hard. It took us a little while to find the best spot for him, but it's really, I believe, paid off for him. He's played great for us the last 2 years, You know, and most indications are he's got a chance to be in the first couple rounds. Hopefully that'll be the case, you know. You know, he's worked hard for it.
Is he very much still becoming the player he will become?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he'll continue. He's got a big upside in that he hasn't played, you know, offensive tackle that long. And he's got great athletic ability. I mean, at 305, 10 pounds, he'll run a 4.7. I mean, he can go. So he's going to test well when he's got a lot of upside, definitely. He's only going to keep getting better.
Even though A&M's only been in the SEC 1 year, it seems like they picked up the banner, you know, carrying the flag and everything. Any pressure to carry the Big 12 flag?
Oh, everybody says that. In the end, we got an OU flag we're trying to carry too. So how many flags can you carry? Our pride's always on the line. So we want to play well, sure.
Bob, the recruiting rankings, we know in general that sometimes they're wrong, but looking nationally, the Big 12, I think, has one school in the top 10, or maybe Texas is like 12, and everyone else is really pretty low. I think Oklahoma's 22 at this point. Can you address it where you feel you are recruiting, and maybe why the Big 12 is lower this year?
You know, I don't have any idea. Those recruiting services, you guys know, I'm not picking on anybody, but you know, they've been accurate and inaccurate every bit as much. So in the end, I don't have any idea. We haven't signed a full class yet, so it's not like we've got all 25 in and we're done and sitting somewhere. So I envision we're in great shape. I think we've got a lot of great players and we're working on others. So you know, we're a long way from February. So in the end, we'll see where it all goes. But you know, that's not a big deal. Yeah, I don't. Remember, Sam was a 3-star guy, right? Yeah. So were a bunch of others.
Peterson was a 5-star.
Adrian
Peterson was a 5-star.
You got that one right.
Coach, in your experience.
Kiddingly, you could have got that one right?
Well, he was number 1. So.
Coach, in your experience, how much of a difference does a bowl win make in terms of carrying momentum into the offseason and things such as recruiting and spring? And just,
you know, it's always positive. You just you know, you answer a lot more positive questions than you do negative ones. But in the end, the team will be different. You know, once that game's over, you got seniors leaving and you transition into a whole new team, you know, win or lose, and it's always that way.
So, Bob, are you back to what you were early in the year with Jalen Saunders? He's just practicing, and you're going to determine whether he can play or not, and he just runs with the varsity and everything in practice?
I've said, well, you know, we're handling internally, and we'll see where it goes once everything's been determined.
Is everyone good to go grade-wise for the game?
We haven't got all of them back.
It's a non-BCS bowl, but it also seems to be anticipated as one of the top 2 or 3 games. Does that just reflect how difficult it would be to have a playoff system? Because these 2 teams seem like 2 of the top, 5, but they may not make the top 8 if they had to come down to a system this season.
Well, you know, in the end, you know, no matter what, it's going to be always tough to pare down. But you know, but as far as an exciting game and a challenging game and one everybody's looking forward to, definitely. And a great venue, again, the Cotton Bowl and you know, the Texas Stadium, or, you know, Jerry Jones's stadium there is fabulous. You know, the fans will be there. It'll be rabid. It'll be exciting.
Well, you've coached, I guess, twice there before. Do you find yourself ever watching the big screen?
No. My neck's not that good. I like to watch the players.
You watch replays up there or something?
Oh yeah, I watch replays everywhere. Only ones that were painful for me to see the first time, that I need to see what went wrong, or to be sure what I thought I saw just happened, so we can hopefully make a correction.
Bob, is there any update on anything with Tyrus Thompson with what happened in the TCU game?
Yes, he will not be. Nothing further will happen to Tyrus.
Anybody else?
Other than a bad penalty we got, which, I mean, the right call, but really hurt us.